Means that Michigan State's in, and that means Iowa, 8-0 in the Big Ten. The Big Ten West champions will now take on Stanford in the Rose Bowl, January 1st at 5 Eastern on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app presented by Northwestern Mutual. So, Mayday, you were saying the fact you're happy Iowa got this ticket, even though there was some talk about the fact Ohio State may crash the party, sexier pick, etc. What do you make of this matchup for them, taking on Stanford?
I think it's a great matchup. I think it's an old-school matchup, a slugfest. It's going to be one in the trenches. I think Christian McCaffrey, we all know about him, the terrific season he's had. And I think Iowa, because they're so balanced on offense and defense, I think this is a team that runs the ball well offensively. They throw the ball for over 200 yards. And tough defense, they stop the run. And I think if you look at Stanford, it's the same way. They love stopping the run. They're very physical at the point of attack. It's going to be a great watch.
I agree, and I think it's not a very good matchup in my mind for Stanford.
Yes,
I mean, you go back to the Northwestern game to start off the season. They held the Stanford offense to 240 yards, and you talked about the way this Iowa defense performed against Michigan State. I think it'd be a real problem for Stanford.
I agree. I don't think it's a good matchup either, because it's a good matchup for the Rose Bowl because it's the old Big Ten, Pac-10. Before we got crazy with all the realignment and forgot what we were doing and got Texas out there and some of these other schools like Oklahoma. But it also is significant to me that you go back and look at Mark D'Antonio's style of football. He's 7-1 in the last 8 games against top 5 teams. And he's doing it by running the football like that 9+ minute drive. That's what I was doing. And that's what Stanford's doing. When so many people now are wide open and throwing it all over the lot and feeling good about it, these guys, we've got 2 teams in the last 4 that are going to line up and gnarl you. So it's changing back a little bit, I think. I think we're seeing if you can't run the football now, you're not going to end up in this Final Four.
It's going to be a tough ticket to get because I live in the Southwest in Arizona. All the snowbirds are out in Arizona right now, so they're just going to drive over to Southern California, go to the Rose Bowl and get those tickets.
Well, Iowa's got great support anyway. They've always really supported their team. But normally in the bowl games, they didn't want to take you if you lost the championship game. So give credit to the Rose Bowl for taking them for their effort through the year, not just what happened yesterday.
We'll talk later more specifically about the Heisman, but Robert, what a performance by Christian McCaffrey last night. I mean, if there's a reason to watch the Rose Bowl beyond the fact you're not a Stanford, Iowa fan, just watch McCaffrey because he does everything for them.
461 total yards. It's more than a quarter mile of running he did last night. I mean, and only about 100 or so of that was return yardage, so all of the rushing yardage, all of the receiving yardage, threw for the touchdown. He definitely deserves to be in New York and is probably going to be sneaking up on some people's Heisman's list this week.
Especially when you look at an offense like Stanford's, right? Especially early in the year, a couple of issues. Kevin Hogan, you think he has that maturation, that poise beyond him. McCaffrey bailed him out many a time this year.
They bailed each other out. I think when you look at Kevin Hogan, he's the most successful quarterback in Stanford history. He's got the most wins. So you've got a guy that's been there for a long time that knows this offense, can control this offense. And it's not only McCaffrey, it's a lot of other role players on this offense, but he makes a lot of the plays for this offense. So you've got to tip your hat to him for the career that he's had at Stanford.